I trusted her. I trusted every single word that came out of my daughter's mouth. And because of that trust, I destroyed an innocent woman's life. My name is Richard, and I'm 63 years old. 3 months ago, my wife Catherine died. They said it was an accident. My daughter Madison said it was murder. I believed her. God help me. I believed her. Let me start from the beginning. Catherine and I had been married for 38 years. We'd built a good life together in Portland, Oregon. I'd retired early from my accounting firm, and we'd planned to spend our golden years traveling, finally seeing all those places we'd put off while raising Madison and building our careers. But then Catherine got sick. It started with the tremors. Little things at first. A cup of coffee that slipped from her hand. Trouble buttoning her coat. Within 6 months, the doctors confirmed what we'd feared. Parkinson's disease. Early onset, aggressive. By the time she turned 59, Catherine needed help with almost everything. That's when Madison suggested we hire someone. "Dad, you can't do this alone," she'd said, sitting in our living room one Sunday afternoon. "You're exhausting yourself. Mom needs professional care." Madison was 32 then, living in downtown Portland in a high-rise apartment we helped her afford. She called herself a lifestyle influencer. I didn't fully understand what that meant, but she had nearly 800,000 followers on Instagram and made money posting photos of herself at restaurants, wearing clothes from sponsors, traveling to resorts. She'd majored in marketing at University of Oregon, but instead of getting a traditional job, she'd built this online presence. Catherine and I were proud, in our way. Our daughter was independent, creative, making her own path. But sometimes I wondered if all those followers meant more to her than real relationships. "I've already found someone," Madison continued, pulling out her phone. "Her name is Olivia Chen. She's 27, has her CNA certification, and she's gotten amazing reviews from other families. Plus, Dad, she's affordable. She's trying to save money for physician assistant school, so she's not charging the rates some of these agencies want." That's how Olivia came into our lives. She arrived on a Monday morning in September, carrying a small backpack and wearing scrubs with little flowers on them. She was petite, couldn't have been more than 5'2", with her black hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. When she shook my hand, her grip was firm and warm. "Mr. Harrison, it's so good to meet you," she said. Her voice was gentle but confident. "Madison told me so much about your wife. I'm honored to help care for her." Over the next 3 months, Olivia became part of our family. She arrived every morning at 7 and stayed until 6 in the evening. She helped Catherine with everything: bathing, dressing, meals, medications. She read to her when Catherine's hands shook too much to hold a book. She played Catherine's favorite music, Etta, James, and Billie Holiday. She never complained, never seemed frustrated, even on the hard days when Catherine's mood swings from the medication made her irritable. Catherine loved her. "She's an angel, Richard," my wife would say, her voice trembling but sincere. "Don't you think? Our little angel?" I agreed. Olivia had brought peace back to our home. I could sleep through the night knowing Catherine was safe. I could run errands without constant worry. And Olivia never asked for extra money, never pushed boundaries, never gave me any reason to doubt her character. Madison visited less frequently after Olivia started, maybe once every 2 weeks instead of weekly. When I asked about it, she said she was busy with brand partnerships and content creation. "Olivia's there now, Dad. Mom's in good hands. You don't need me hovering too." I didn't push. Madison had her own life. I understood. Then came the Friday night that changed everything. It was November 15th. I remember because it was our anniversary. 38 years. I'd ordered Catherine's favorite dinner from the Italian restaurant where we'd had our first date, and Olivia had stayed late to help me set up a romantic dinner at home. She'd even brought flowers from her own money. White roses, Catherine's favorite. "You two are so beautiful together," Olivia had said, her eyes misty as she watched us. "This is what love should look like." She left around 8:30. I'd given her a generous tip and thanked her for everything. Catherine and I finished dinner, watched an old movie, and went to bed around 11. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. to silence. Complete, absolute silence. Catherine usually snored lightly. The silence terrified me. I reached over, Her side of the bed was cold. "Catherine?" I called out, fumbling for the lamp. The light flooded the room. Empty. She wasn't there. My heart pounded as I threw off the covers. "Catherine!" I found her at the bottom of our basement stairs. She was lying on her back on the concrete floor, one leg twisted at an unnatural angle, her nightgown bunched around her knees. Her eyes were open, staring at nothing. There was blood, not much, but some, pooling beneath her head. "No, no, no, no," I kept repeating as I stumbled down the stairs. I fell to my knees beside her, reaching for her neck to check her pulse. Nothing. Her skin was cool to the touch. "Catherine, baby, please." My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. The paramedics arrived within 8 minutes. They tried. God, they tried. But she was gone. The doctor at the hospital said she'd likely died on impact. The fall had broken her neck. With her condition, her balance already compromised, one misstep on those stairs. They called it a tragic accident. The police took a brief report, looked at the scene, and concluded that Catherine had gotten up in the middle of the night, maybe to use the bathroom or get water, became disoriented in the dark, opened the wrong door, the basement door, instead of the bathroom door, and fell. It made sense. Terrible, horrible sense. The basement door was only 6 feet from our bedroom door. In the dark, confused, with tremors affecting her coordination. I called Madison from the hospital at 4 a.m. She arrived within 30 minutes, mascara running down her face, her hands shaking as she held mine. "Dad, I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "I'm so sorry." We sat in that hospital waiting room as the sun came up, holding each other as we cried. My wife of 38 years was gone. My Madison had lost her mother. The world felt like it had ended. The funeral was 4 days later. November 19th. A cold, gray Tuesday, with rain that matched my mood. More than 200 people came. Catherine had been beloved in our community. She'd volunteered at the library, taught English as a second language to immigrants, organized neighborhood cleanups. Everyone had a story about how Catherine had touched their lives. Olivia came to the funeral. She stood in the back, crying quietly. After the service, she approached me, her face red and puffy. "Mr. Harrison, I'm so sorry for your loss," she whispered. "Mrs. Harrison was such a beautiful soul. If there's anything I can do..." "Thank you, Olivia." I managed to hug her. "Thank you for everything you did for her. You made her final months so much better." "I loved her," Olivia said, her voice breaking. "I really did." Madison watched this exchange from a few feet away. I noticed her jaw was tight, her arms crossed. When Olivia left, Madison came over. "I can't believe she had the nerve to show up," Madison muttered. I frowned. "What do you mean? Olivia cared about your mother." "Did she?" Madison's voice had an edge I'd never heard before. "Or did she care about Mom's jewelry collection? Her credit cards? Access to the house?" "Madison, what are you talking about?" She grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging in slightly. "Dad, we need to talk, privately. Not here." We went back to my house after the reception. Madison had been staying with me since Catherine's death, sleeping in her old bedroom. She made us coffee, then sat me down at the kitchen table. "Dad, I didn't want to bring this up right away, but I've been noticing some things." She pulled out her phone. "Mom's credit card statements. I got access to them online. Look at this." She showed me transaction after transaction. Sephora, $300. Nordstrom, $500. A spa day, $250. Gas station purchases in different parts of town. Coffee shops, restaurants, grocery stores I didn't recognize. "These are all from the past 2 months, Madison said. "Did Mom suddenly start online shopping?" I stared at the screen. I don't know. I didn't pay much attention. I just paid the bills." "Dad, Mom couldn't use a computer. Her tremors were too bad. She couldn't even hold her phone most days." Madison's voice rose. Someone else was using her card. My stomach twisted. You think, who else had access to Mom's purse? Who else was alone with her every day? Madison pulled up more evidence on her phone. "And look at this." I checked Mom's bank account. There are ATM withdrawals. 200 here, 300 there. Always at odd times. Always from machines near downtown, near where Olivia lives. But Olivia never asked for money. She was always So what, Dad? So sweet? So trustworthy? Madison's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to trust her too, but the evidence doesn't lie. And there's more. She showed me photos. Catherine's diamond earrings, the ones I'd given her for our 30th anniversary, listed on Facebook Marketplace. A designer handbag Catherine had cherished, being sold on Poshmark. The accounts were under different names, but Madison had done some investigating. These photos were taken in what looks like Olivia's apartment. Look at the background. That lamp, that couch. I've seen her post about them on her Instagram. My hands trembled as I looked at the images. It couldn't be true. Olivia was kind. She'd been so good to Catherine, but the evidence was there, in black and white, or rather, in color on Madison's phone screen. Dad, I think it's worse than theft. Madison's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I think Olivia might have had something to do with Mom's fall. What? No, Madison, that's insane. The police said it was an accident. Did they really investigate, though? Or did they just assume? Madison leaned forward, her influencer polish cracking to reveal genuine fear underneath. Dad, think about it. Olivia knew Mom's routines. She knew about Mom's confusion at night. What if she called Mom or texted her somehow, lured her out of bed, left the basement door open? But Olivia wasn't there that night. She left at 8:30. We were alone. Was she, though? Did you check every room? Every door? Madison grabbed my hands. Dad, what if she snuck back? What if she had a key made? She had access to everything. The room spun. This couldn't be happening. But Madison kept going, kept presenting evidence. A neighbor who thought they'd seen someone matching Olivia's description in our driveway that night around midnight. Text messages between Madison and Catherine, where Catherine had mentioned, casually, that some of her things seemed to be going missing. But I'm so forgetful these days, Catherine had written. It's probably just me. I didn't tell you before because I didn't want to worry you, Madison said. Mom asked me not to. She said she might be imagining things, that her medication made her paranoid sometimes. But now, Dad, now Mom's dead, and all this evidence points to one person. I sat there in my kitchen, the same kitchen where Catherine and I had shared thousands of meals, where we'd taught Madison to make pancakes when she was 6, where we'd hosted family dinners and holiday gatherings, and I felt my world shifting under my feet. What do we do? I heard myself ask. We call the police, Madison said firmly. We show them everything. We make sure Mom gets justice. The next morning, Madison and I went to the Portland Police Bureau. Detective Sarah Williams listened to our story, looked at the evidence Madison had compiled, and agreed to reopen the investigation into Catherine's death. I have to be honest with you, Mr. Harrison, Detective Williams said. This is circumstantial, but combined with the financial irregularities and the timeline, it's enough to bring Miss Chen in for questioning. They arrested Olivia 3 days later. I wasn't there, but Madison was. She filmed it not for her social media, she said, but for the record, she showed me the video later. Olivia, looking small and terrified in handcuffs, being led to a police car outside her apartment building. She was crying, saying something I couldn't hear on the video. She's claiming she's innocent, Madison said, watching my face as I viewed the footage. But of course she would say that. The district attorney charged Olivia with manslaughter and multiple counts of elder abuse and theft. Her bail was set at $200,000. She couldn't afford it. She'd been trying to save for PA school if that was even true, Madison said. Maybe that was just another lie to make us trust her. Olivia sat in county jail awaiting trial. Her public defender reached out to me once, asking if I'd be willing to meet with Olivia. Madison answered the phone. Absolutely not, she said. My father doesn't need to be manipulated by that woman again. I didn't argue. The evidence seemed so clear. The credit card charges, the ATM withdrawals, the stolen items being sold online. Madison had even found a Google search history from Olivia's laptop. The police had seized it, showing searches for how much is Parkinson's medication worth and selling prescription drugs. She was going to steal Mom's medications too, Madison said, showing me the police report. Thank God we caught her before she could do more damage. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for early January. Madison threw herself into preparing for it, working with the DA's office, organizing evidence, making sure everything was documented. Her social media went quiet. I can't post during something like this, she told me. It wouldn't be respectful to Mom's memory. I appreciated that. Madison had really stepped up. She'd moved back home to take care of me, cooking meals, making sure I took my blood pressure medication, handling all the affairs I felt too numb to deal with. She'd always been a good daughter, but this situation had brought out something even more devoted in her. It's just us now, Dad, she said one night as we ate dinner together. We have to stick together. We have to make sure justice is served. For Mom. I nodded, pushing food around my plate. I'd lost 15 pounds since Catherine's death. Nothing tasted right anymore. 3 weeks after Olivia's arrest, I started noticing little things. Madison mentioned needing money for a lawyer consultation. She wanted to explore suing Olivia's family for wrongful death damages. I gave her $5,000 from our savings account. Then a week later, she mentioned the consultation had cost more than expected. Could she have another $3,000? I gave it to her. She bought a new car, a BMW. I got a great deal, Dad, she explained when I saw it in the driveway. And with all the driving back and forth for the case, I needed something reliable. She upgraded her apartment. When I mentioned it seemed like odd timing, she said, Dad, I signed the lease before Mom died. I can't back out now. And honestly, I might need to move. Too many memories in my old place. Her Instagram started showing signs of life again. Not posts about the case or about Catherine, but subtle things. A photo of her coffee mug with a caption about finding strength in dark times. A sunset with healing journey in the hashtags. Designer sunglasses with an affiliate link. I told myself I was being paranoid. Madison was grieving too. Everyone handles loss differently. But then I was looking for a document one afternoon, the deed to the house. Something the lawyer needed, and I opened Madison's laptop that she'd left on the kitchen counter. She'd told me her password months ago. For some reason I couldn't remember. I wasn't snooping. I just needed to check if she'd scanned the document. What I found instead was her email, open to a message from a credit card company. Congratulations on your new account approval. Your Catherine Harrison authorized user card will arrive within 7 to 10 business days. The email was dated October 27th, 2 weeks before Catherine died. My heart started pounding. I clicked through her emails, telling myself there was an explanation. There had to be an explanation. But I found more. Emails confirming online purchases. Shipping notifications to Madison's apartment. Screenshots of Olivia's social media that Madison had saved weeks before Catherine's death, with notes like, could use this, and remember to mention trust issues. There was a draft email to someone named Derek. The plan is almost ready. Just need to wait for the right time. She's getting worse, so people will believe it was her confusion. O will be perfect to blame. Dad already trusts her, and she's too naive to see it coming. I sat there, staring at the screen, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my Madison. But it was her email, her account, her words. I heard her car pull into the driveway. I closed the laptop quickly, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. When she came in through the garage door, carrying shopping bags from Saks Fifth Avenue, I forced myself to smile. Hey, Dad, I got you something. She pulled out a cashmere sweater. Thought you might need some new clothes. You've lost weight. That's very thoughtful. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. She kissed my cheek, then headed upstairs to her room. I'm going to edit some content. Shout if you need anything. I waited until I heard her door close. Then I grabbed my coat and car keys and drove. I didn't know where I was going at first. I just drove, my mind racing. Those emails couldn't mean what I thought they meant. Madison wouldn't. She couldn't have. But I knew where I ended up wasn't random. I pulled into the parking lot of the Multnomah County Detention Center. I asked to see Olivia Chen. The guard looked surprised. You're on her approved visitor list? Let me check. He came back a few minutes later. She says she'll see you. But Mr. Harrison, you should know she's pretty upset. Are you sure you want to do this? I nodded. They led me to a visitation room with phones and glass partitions. A few minutes later, Olivia was brought in. She'd lost weight. Her face was pale, her hair limp. When she saw me, she stopped walking. The guard had to gently nudge her forward. She sat down across from me and picked up the phone. I did the same. Mr. Harrison. Her voice was flat, drained of all the warmth I remembered. Why are you here? I didn't know how to start. Olivia, I need to ask you something. The truth. Did you take Catherine's credit card? She stared at me. They found the card in my apartment, Mr. Harrison. Madison found it when she came to visit me. Madison visited you? About a month before Mrs. Harrison died. She said she wanted to check on how the care was going, see where I lived. She was very nice, very friendly. Olivia's laugh was bitter. She left with the card somehow. I don't know how she got it, but she must have taken it from my wallet when I wasn't looking. The police found it in my coat pocket later. A coat I hadn't worn in weeks. The ATM withdrawals. I don't know anything about those. I never used an ATM near downtown. I live in southeast Portland, Mr. Harrison. My bank is in my neighborhood. The police could check, but they said the security footage was conveniently deleted by the time they looked. She made air quotes with her free hand. Everything that points to me was found by Madison or brought to the police by Madison. Doesn't that seem strange to you? It did. God help me, it did. The jewelry being sold online, those photos weren't taken in my apartment. I've never owned that lamp, that couch. I've tried to tell the police, but they say I'm lying. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Mr. Harrison, I loved your wife. I would never hurt her. Never. She was going to write me a recommendation letter for PA school. She told me I was like the daughter she wished she'd had more of. That last part hit me like a fist to the gut. I got a text that night, Olivia continued, her voice breaking. Around midnight, from Mrs. Harrison's phone. It said, "Help. Fell. Can't get up." I tried calling back, but no one answered. I got dressed to drive over, but then I got another text saying, "False alarm. Madison, help me. Sorry to worry you." So I didn't come. But Mr. Harrison, I've thought about it every day since. What if I had come? What if I'd checked? Maybe I could have saved her. Catherine didn't have her phone that night, I said slowly. I remember. She'd left it downstairs to charge. Exactly. Olivia wiped her eyes. Someone else sent those texts. Someone who wanted to establish a timeline where I was involved. Someone who wanted to make sure I looked guilty. I sat there, the phone pressed to my ear, and felt my entire world collapsing for the second time in 3 weeks. I have to go, I said. Mr. Harrison, please. I don't know what happened to your wife, but I know I didn't hurt her. Please, just look at who benefits from all of this. Who really benefits? I drove home in a daze. Madison's car was still in the driveway. I sat in mine for 20 minutes, trying to figure out what to do. I needed proof, real proof, not just suspicious emails, not just Olivia's word against Madison's. That's when I remembered Bob. Bob Patterson lived 3 houses down. He was 72, retired from Intel, and his hobby was home security systems. He had cameras everywhere, front door, back door, driveway, even one pointed at the street to catch package thieves. Catherine used to joke that Bob knew everything that happened in the neighborhood. I walked down to Bob's house and rang the doorbell. "Richard!" Bob's face lit up, then immediately shifted to concern. "How are you holding up, buddy?" "Bob, can I ask you a favor? Do your security cameras keep footage for a while, or does it delete?" "I keep everything for 90 days. "Why? Can I see the night of November 15th? Around midnight?" Bob's expression grew serious. "Come on in." We sat in his den, and Bob pulled up his security system on a large monitor. He scrolled back to November 15th, 11:45 p.m. "What am I looking for?" he asked. "My driveway, my front door. Anyone coming or going." We watched in fast forward. At 11:58 p.m., a figure appeared on screen, walking up my driveway. Female, wearing dark clothes and a hoodie. She went to my front door. "Can you zoom in?" I asked, my mouth dry. Bob zoomed. The figure pulled a key from her pocket and unlocked my front door. Then she turned slightly toward the street, pulling back her hood for just a second to check if anyone was around. It was Madison. "Jesus Christ," Bob whispered. We watched as Madison entered my house. 8 minutes later, she came back out. She walked quickly to her car, parked on the street 2 houses down, and drove away. At 2:15 a.m., she returned. She parked in the same spot, went into the house again, and came out 3 minutes later. After that, nothing until the ambulance arrived at 2:42 a.m., followed by Madison's car at 2:51 a.m. "Richard," Bob said carefully, "do you want me to call the police?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. Detective Williams arrived within the hour. Bob showed her the footage. She watched it 3 times, taking notes, her expression growing darker each time. "Mr. Harrison, where is your daughter now?" "At my house. She's staying with me. I need you to do exactly as I say. Go home, act completely normal. Don't let her know anything is wrong. We need to get a warrant, and we need to move carefully. Can you do that?" I said yes, but I don't know how I managed to drive home, to walk into my house, to smile at Madison when she called down. "Dad? That you? I'm making dinner." "Great, honey," I called back. "I'm just going to rest a bit." I went to my bedroom, the bedroom I'd shared with Catherine, and I sat on the edge of the bed and I wept. The police arrested Madison 2 days later. They brought cyber forensic experts who recovered deleted files from her laptop. They found everything. The plan she'd been making for months. The fake email account she'd created in Olivia's name. The purchases she'd made using Catherine's credit card, then having items shipped to an address near where Olivia lived, taking photos against a carefully chosen backdrop that matched furniture she'd found in Olivia's Instagram posts. But the most damning evidence came from Madison's own phone. She'd recorded everything that night on November 15th. Detective Williams showed me the video. I didn't want to watch it, but she said I needed to. Madison had let herself into the house at 11:58 p.m. using the spare key she'd copied months ago. She went upstairs. She texted from Catherine's phone to Olivia, establishing the false timeline. Then she called out, "Mom? Mom, are you awake? It's me." I heard Catherine's voice, sleepy and confused. "Madison? Honey, what are you doing here so late?" "I need to talk to you about something, Mom. Can you come downstairs? I don't want to wake Dad." "Oh, all right. Give me a moment." There was shuffling, Catherine moving slowly. Madison went back downstairs and positioned herself at the top of the basement stairs. She opened the basement door. "In here, Mom. I put some of Dad's financial documents down here earlier. I want you to see them." Catherine appeared at the top of the stairs on the video, illuminated by Madison's phone screen. She was squinting, disoriented. "The basement? Why would they be?" Madison pushed her. It was so fast. Just hands extending, a shove, and Catherine was falling, tumbling down the stairs. The crack of her body hitting the concrete was audible on the video. Madison climbed down and checked her pulse. "Good," she whispered to the camera. "It's done." She went back upstairs, closed the basement door, positioned Catherine's slippers at the top of the stairs to make it look like she'd been walking and missed the door. She sent another text from Catherine's phone to Olivia. "False alarm. Madison helped me. Sorry to worry you." Then she left, waiting to return at 2:15 a.m. to discover the accident along with me. The detective turned off the video. I was going to be sick. "Why?" I managed to ask. "Why would she do this?" "Money," Detective Williams said quietly. "Your daughter was in serious debt. She owed $300,000 to various credit card companies and investors who'd fronted her money for her influencer lifestyle. She was facing bankruptcy, lawsuits. She needed your wife's life insurance payout and inheritance. With your wife gone and you in grief, she'd have access to everything. And with Olivia as a scapegoat, no one would ever suspect her." Madison's trial lasted 3 weeks. Her lawyer tried to argue diminished capacity, mental health issues, the pressure of social media fame. None of it stuck. The video was too clear. The planning was too deliberate. The framing of Olivia was too calculated. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder in the first degree, elder abuse, fraud, obstruction of justice. The judge sentenced her to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. I testified at the sentencing hearing. I looked at my daughter in her orange jumpsuit, her influencer polish completely gone, and I read the statement I'd prepared. You killed my wife. You killed your mother. And you were willing to let an innocent young woman rot in prison to cover your crime. I will never understand how the daughter I raised could become the person you are now. But I want you to know that I will spend every day of the rest of my life trying to make this right. Madison cried during my statement. She tried to speak, to apologize, but I walked out before she could. I didn't want to hear it. Olivia Chen was released from jail immediately after Madison's arrest. The charges against her were dropped, but the damage was done. She'd lost 3 months of her life in county jail. She'd lost her enrollment in the PA program she'd been accepted to. She'd lost her apartment because she couldn't pay rent. She'd lost her reputation. Some people still believed she was guilty despite the truth coming out. I met with Olivia a week after Madison's sentencing. She agreed to see me, though I wouldn't have blamed her if she'd refused. We met at a coffee shop in downtown Portland. She looked thinner, more fragile, but her eyes were no longer dead. There was life in them again, even if it was tempered with obvious pain. "Mr. Harrison," she said as I sat down, "please, call me Richard. I don't deserve formality from you." She nodded slowly. "I can't undo what happened to you," I began. "I can't give you back those 3 months. I can't erase the trauma or the fear or the reputation damage, but I want to try to make some of it right." I slid an envelope across the table. She opened it hesitantly. Inside was a check for $750,000. "That's Catherine's life insurance payout," I said. "All of it. She would have wanted you to have it. You were kind to her when kindness mattered most. You were there for her when her own daughter was plotting her death. Catherine told me once that you were like the daughter she wished she'd had more of. So I want you to have this. Go to PA school. Start your life over. Make it a life that honors the care you gave to my wife." Olivia stared at the check, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I can't. This is too much. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But please, take it. Let something good come from this horror." She took the check with shaking hands. "I don't know what to say. Say you'll forgive an old fool for believing the wrong person. Say you'll make Catherine proud." "I will," she whispered. "I promise I will." We sat there for a while longer, two people shattered by the same tragedy, trying to find a way forward. She told me she'd been accepted to a PA program in Seattle, starting in the fall. She wanted to specialize in geriatric care. "Because of patients like Mrs. Harrison," she said. "Because the elderly deserve dignity and care, and I want to be part of giving them that." I told her about my plans to sell the house. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I was moving to a smaller condo near the waterfront. Starting fresh, or trying to. "Mr. Harrison, Richard," she said as we were about to leave. "Thank you, not just for the money, for believing me eventually. A lot of people still don't. I should have believed you from the start. That's a regret I'll carry forever." She squeezed my hand. "You were grieving. She manipulated you. That's what she did. You're a victim too. I don't know if I agree with that. I made choices. I decided to trust the wrong person. I decided not to question, not to verify, not to investigate. Those were my decisions, and I have to live with the consequences." It's been 4 months now since the trial ended. Olivia is in Seattle, thriving from what I hear through occasional email updates she sends. She's at the top of her class. She volunteers at a senior center on weekends. She's exactly the person Catherine believed she was. I sold my house last month. Some of the money went to Olivia. I set up an additional trust fund to cover her entire education and living expenses for the next 5 years, no matter what. The rest I donated to the Parkinson's Foundation in Catherine's name and to organizations that support the wrongfully accused. Madison writes to me from prison. Long letters, full of apologies and explanations and justifications. I haven't opened any of them. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday I'll be able to look at my daughter and see past the monster she became to the child I raised. But that day isn't today. Maybe it will never come. I visit Catherine's grave every Sunday. I bring her white roses, her favorite. I tell her about Olivia's progress. I tell her I'm sorry I didn't protect her. I tell her I miss her more than words can express. And I warn her, though she already knows, about the dangers of misplaced trust, about how the people closest to us can sometimes be the ones who hurt us most, about how we must verify, must question, must never let love blind us to the truth. I trusted my daughter. I believed every word she said, and because of that trust, I almost destroyed an innocent life and let a murderer go free. That's a lesson I learned too late, but I'm sharing it now with anyone who will listen. Trust, but verify. Love, but question. And never, ever assume you know someone completely just because they're family. Because sometimes the real monster is sitting right across the dinner table from you, smiling.